And let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Ujjwal and I reside in E1909. And my background is I'm a human resources person with almost 18 plus years of experience, right? So when we talk about manifesto that we need to discuss, so three things come by default, right? So typically is, do you have the key competencies required for this job? Okay. What value add will you bring to your tower? And most important is what value add will you bring to your society that you live, right? So some of the key competencies, because of the nature of work that we do, is that uh, being in human resources, the first thing expected is to come out with strategies which will help us to grow, right? So here in a society, how can we help us to build, and what strategies we can adopt? And second is processes. So today we have a lot of options, but what processes are we doing? Are these processes automated? Are these processes effective? And are these processes efficient and cost effective, right? See, at the end of the day, what boils down is that, is it really cost effective? Will it really sustainable kind of a thing, right? And is it the right thing? Okay. And third is about the ability to communicate, right? So if you've seen that there are a lot of value adds that I have bought when I have been residing here, started living. So if you see that we have reached out to the highest possible authorities when there was this power disconnection drive, right, where we reached out to the national human rights, okay, single-handedly connected with the team to see that if we can get some additional support, right. Then when there were the payments that were not released to the security guards, we fought with the builder. We wrote to the Ministry of Labor. Guess what we wrote in the morning, and by evening we ensured that the money was dispersed to the facility team here, right? And you know, subsequently you can see that many of the visits that we did to the local authorities, be it to Panchayat office. So first process automation that we bought was creating a kata process framework, right? First thing when you buy a property is to have a kata in place. Otherwise you cannot buy your tax, right? So in the pursuit of helping Unnikrishnan, Lieutenant Colonel Unnikrishnan, who was in the army side, he said, why don't you go and help us? So that is how this entire journey started. Then I said, why don't we create a framework so that everybody gets benefited? We made multiple visits to have a camp here. For some reason, they said, as per protocols of COVID, you cannot do it, right? So if you see, quite a lot of work has been done. And every time when we had a problem, we have reached out to the nearest possible authorities, asking for help in conjunction with the team as such, right? So all that I want to say is, any RWA formation or anything can happen. It is only possible with you, unless you collectively work as a team, cohesive team. We have a development group where less developmental things are talked. So everybody tries to pull each other, push each other, and you can see many of us are mute spectators. We have not even uttered a word because it goes into different directions. So let's have constructive discussions. Even if RWA comes, it is possible to be successful if we think alike, if we are cohesive, if we are going to pull and push each other. I just saw the RRR movie. That's going to be again happening with us. India was vulnerable to many of the British colonies because we fought amongst ourselves, right? Our fight is not amongst ourselves. We are all builders, right? So we have been setting a very good trend. I can ask with all of them. Yeah, you can check the kind of help that we have been extending to each other. During COVID time, we were volunteered to ensure that we give food, and what we got to hear from the rest of the thing, padosi ho to aise, right? So unless you are a good neighbor, you cannot bring good value to the society. First expectation is, are you a good neighbor? Forget about society. You cannot be a good person to the society unless you make some change to your neighbors. So what I would suggest is that we should some of the big tickets everybody knows, but something which we can think uniquely is that if we can have quick rides here, right? Because we are living in the fag end of the city, unless we have a quick ride app or anything which can increase our mobility, that is our biggest pain point, right? And most important in any manifesto is your work has to speak for yourself. So if you're seen, I have not even posted a single thing. People should know by the work that you contribute. right? And if they believe that you can do is what? And I'm least bothered about whether I succeed or lose, because you can win only if you are a team worker, right? If you think individually you can win mountains, sorry, none of the things that don't work, right? So my last request is, please study the best practices. In HR also, what we do differently is to study the best practices which other companies are doing and then trying to bring it here. So we need to understand what is the prestige of the world doing, what is the brigades of the world doing, what is the definer kingdoms of doing, understand the best practices and ensure that we implement here, right? Just, saying some things will not happen. So all of us together can move mountains, right? So please come, join our hands. If you think that this 18 people will change the society here, sorry friends, nothing will happen. It's going to be another year. If you think it can make a change, it's with each one of you. And each one of you thinking unitedly and thinking not that your neighbor is your enemy. If you think your neighbor is enemy, sorry, then you are not going to achieve anything here. If you think that the whole society is going to fight with the builder, guess what? Within 1 year we can see mountains, right? Thank you so much. And no promises at this stage. We need your support to make things happen. And most important, my thing is to ensure that we make a task force for our own tower to achieve things. And that's my biggest plan.